The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Sony Open Picks, preview, bets, and the start of the one and done. I gave away the winner of the Gut 2 draw from last week, Nicky Noodles. Congratulations on your entry. I spoke with him over the weekend. He got in because registration is now closed for the one and done. Almost 3,300 people, so the pot is going to be large. I am playing 2 entries in the one and done. One will be for the show. Whatever I pick on the show will be one of my teams. And then I'll have my own separate team to really break this down. Jeff, you're in it too?
2 entries.
Oh, you got 2 entries as well?
G. Fienberg 17 and G. Fienberg 21.
Cuss told me that he signed up, but I'm dubious.
Oh, I hope he didn't screw it up.
He had to use the internet to do this. I signed him up last year, and I left him.
They actually made it easier.
Oh, it's way easier.
And he's also in the Super 7.
I know.
So the interface or the initial, registry, like he would already be 4 or 5 steps in.
We just can't lose to Cust. We don't need to win. We just can't lose to Cust. And based on last year's results, we won't. But maybe he's better this time around. Maybe he won't use the worst player in the field every single week.
He finally beat you in ATS football, so there's a chance.
I know. My career record drops to 9-1 in season-long ATS picks against Cust. It's been a bad year for me.
Okay, the pool got so big that it feels more like a lottery. I mean, it's always a lottery ticket. If it's 1,500 or, it's over 3,000. It's literally just like a lottery ticket at this point. And I hope that it's hard enough as it is, Pat, and I put even more restrictions on myself than the restrictions that are already there, which is really you can't use the same guy more than once. But whether it's, all sorts of DraftKings or football, or I'm invest in my guys. Like some people diversify, they'll bet on guys and
save some for DraftKings.
Even
you're not about the hedge life.
The high ends that I bet on will be the high ends I DraftKings. I won't swap. So I always like to kind of I just put more rules on myself that actually make it harder. And I'm hoping to avoid that. And I feel like I'm just going to come out freaking swinging, I tell you.
I like it. So hopefully we can get a winner right away. I do want to announce the winners from last week's 20 DK dollars draw. There was 2 for the golf show, 2 for the 2 football shows, and 1 for the Bachelor show that if you're listening to this on a Monday, you can still watch. It's still relevant. And it's a good chat anyway, because Dawkins hilarious. That you probably want to go do that. But here are the winners, the 20 DK bucks, and I believe you've already been credited. So Court 10, Gunner V. Amara, Ace Joker 007, that was the Bachelor winner. And from the 2 football shows, RX Beer 79 and Jody's. Those are the winners of 20 DK dollars. The big thing this week, the Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League is ready to go. Only 250 spots. They wanted to start really low. It's guaranteed there's no rake. And it's a very flat payout structure. So it's $400 to the winner. I believe top 70 places pay, and you win at least double your money if you come in. So I wanted to make sure that was one of the things where if it's a $15 entry, you don't get like $20 for coming in. You win like 5. You win at least 15. You win at least double your money in the flat payout system, and it's a 3-max. If you want to get the link for the Pat Mayo Experience Listeners League, check the description of this show, whether you're listening to audio or video. And you're going to want to get in quick because I have a feeling that by the end of Monday, those spots are going to be gone.
Yeah, it feels low. You encouraged me to reserve or I'll be in trouble.
Yes.
So I reserved my spots.
Yeah, so I believe the pricing came out like a minute before we went on air. So you can go draft your teams now if you want to, but that's where it is. Or you can always find the league a little bit early if you go to DraftKings Playbook. There is a podcast section on the right-hand side of the webpage. I believe the DFS Edge League is up there right now. Like that's the photo on it. If you click it, I'm in there, they're in there, and you can find the link right away to the Pat Mayo Experience Open DraftKings Listeners League every single week. And, tell DraftKings, let's make it bigger.
This will be double by Phoenix.
It should be. Wait. DraftKings needs to listen.
Yeah.
So if we fill it by the end of Monday, maybe it'll be $500 for next week. And if that fills super early, then it'll be...
This one's going to fill real fast.
Oh, yeah. I haven't even released the link yet, and I think there's like 50 people in it because people found it on that podcast page. So there's only 200 spots left as of right now. So you really just stop right now and go get into that.
And then people like, well, no. Well, now that you just said that, people that don't even know about that page
We'll now know about it.
now know, and we'll be like sitting on it before we've even released the show.
True. And if you're a video only watcher, the podcast always comes out before the video because audio is much easier to post online than video because that takes a bit of work, takes a lot longer to export and process and upload. That you might just want to subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast, download the shows, and just see it right there and get in, even if you do want to watch the video. I like the video version, but that one's out quicker. The easier way to get in. Anyway, I'm excited for it. I think it's a good tournament. I worked with them on the payout structure. Some people were already complaining, oh, first place doesn't pay enough. Like $15, $400 for the winner is not bad for 100, 250 people when like the top 70 get paid. People always complain like, oh, the millionaire maker, you win $1 million for first and 50 grand for second.
This one's more for like the glory.
The glory, and listen, it's not a bad payout by any means.
Yeah, I don't know, $15. Like I don't like that's a pretty
you're not winning
decent.
you're not winning $1 million. Sorry.
No, but I get it. Like $5 more, you get a Millie Maker ticket. But I don't know. It's if you want to play. If you don't, you just lose your money somewhere else.
Yeah, it's three.
Like,
it's three
know.
max. I got my 3 entries in already.
I like the 3 max.
Yeah, I didn't want to make it single entry because single entry in golf is so tough.
But I do love the Albatross.
The $12?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always in that.
I like the 3-backs tournaments, and I always put like 25 into the 5 or the 4 or whatever it happens to be this week. It's the 5 this week. I think it's 50 grand for first place, which is great to see that the prize pools are already this high at the Sony Open. Just wait until Torrey Pines. When Tiger's back, those tournaments are going to be crazy.
Yeah, I mean this one's even that much better than last week because I love the real field compared to last week, and even some head-to-heads I played last week. I literally. Oh, this one guy was like, his name was like Raven52, so I had to go play him. Don't worry, I lost, but like 4 and 6 and 5 and 6 were the same. Everyone had the same Bryson and Leishman.
Yeah.
And he sort of worked around those guys. So I like that there's a cut sweat Friday.
Oh, the cut sweats are the best. Gotta have the cut sweats.
Yeah, it's half the fun. It's more than half the fun,
Yeah.
I swear to God.
Hey, the golf. DraftKings golf is the best DraftKings sport. Whether you like golf or not, it's the most bang for your buck you're going to get. You get 4 days out of it, for one thing. And then you get like the initial sweat of Thursday, then the cut sweat on Friday, your guys making a move on Saturday, and then, hey, maybe you get all the glory on Sunday.
No, that survival Friday sweat
is the best.
Unless you're really in like a heater for a nice paycheck as things come down to everything or everything's magnified on a Sunday. Yeah, that survival Friday test is to get your 6 of 6 and know that you're not like, your pockets won't be empty. It's good.
And if you really want to start building lineups for DraftKings golf, I do recommend fantasynational.com. Makes it super easy. All the stats are up there. Lineup generator, simulator, all the custom modeling that you need. You can set it to whatever you want. So fantasynational.com to go check that out. Let's talk about the Tournament of Champions. I had a lot of Xander on DraftKings, thanks to Mr. Ben Raza on the show. Did not bet him. I saw Coley tipped him, which was awesome. But what a heater. 62 on Sunday. He was 8 under through 10 holes, and he bogeyed number 1.
The wind died down, and someone was going to make that move.
I was hoping it was...
On a 73, that's a 6, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was hoping it would be... I bet Justin Thomas on Sunday morning at 40-1, hoping he would be the guy who got hot. And obviously I had Bryson. But Bryson was not striking the ball at all week, so I didn't have the highest of hopes. I checked in on after Friday and be like, oh, he's like last in the field in strokes gained approach, but he's first in putting. And he ended up first in putting. That's how he finished so well. Thomas was like last in putting, so watch out for Thomas this week.
Well,
first in approach, like 28th in putting.
And they're on to him. I didn't really get in anything live. I was sort of hoping the best for Leishman all week. He never
came fourth.
Never, yeah.
Reed was a non-factor.
A lot of guys were non-factors.
Well, I mean, it was tough when Gary, like I was waiting for Gary to come back to the pack and be like, oh, 13 feet for par in, 12 feet for par in. Oh, here's Gary Woodley as a 35-foot birdie putt in. It was like, good God, man, like miss a fucking putt. And then
no, it was the 62-foot eagle, I think on Saturday. I was like, okay. This shit's like crazy now.
Yeah, well, Champ was doing it the first 2 days.
And-
Champ was making every putt the first 2 days. Then he stopped making putts. But Woodland needed like the 7-footer to force the playoff and missed it.
And I didn't realize a lot of people were on him. And I guess it made sense on the number and how the results played out. But I'm pretty sure I said on here, like, I don't know.
Touching it.
I just didn't want to swallow that number.
I was with you.
And I
wasn't
think
doing
we
it.
even said like Leishman, and I didn't bet Xander, but like Leishman, Molinari, I was like, I don't know, I like all those guys more. And obviously one guy went crazy and I didn't bet Xander, but I don't know. And now the Woodland odds effect is like,
well,
in
as we speak right now, Woodland is still in the field. I believe he lost his grandmother over the weekend as well. And coming off, a second place finish at ToC, he might end up withdrawing. So I'd pay attention to that. Jason Kokrak has already withdrawn from this event too. But it was nice to see golf back. It was nice. It was after the football.
It was later than I thought it would be, which it's been pretty consistent over the years. It's not like they made it later this year.
You just always forget because it's been a year and you only get the 2 tournaments in Hawaii anyway.
But even the Career Builders one in the desert goes pretty late.
It does, but that's closer. That's like 3
hours. Yeah,
of
we're a bit into it, but that one still goes quite late.
You know what I don't like? The new graphics package on Golf Channel. It is brutal.
Didn't bother me so much.
Did
We're
not
just
like it.
faintest says birdie or par or something.
Yeah, and like weird font on the screen, like it looks like a video game.
Didn't bother me.
Yeah, I thought
I
it was
felt some
odd.
of it was like smart and less intrusive, to be perfectly honest.
Really?
But
So you liked it?
I don't know. Maybe it's like when you have that website that you like so much, and they change the format, and it's like bothers you so much, and then like a little bit in, you do realize that it's probably better.
Maybe. I don't know. It just seemed really strange. Maybe it might just be a font issue. I just don't like the font that they used.
Okay, maybe.
I'm a big font guy, so that's me. Any other takeaways?
Not entirely.
Did anyone surprise you of like they look good, or someone was like, "Good God, they were bad"? Kadira, bad. Like the bets from last week that
Bubba's beard doesn't do it for me.
But Bubba lost.
Talk about bad.
I believe Bubba lost 10 strokes putting. That's not good. He also got LASIK eye surgery.
I didn't know Rory was there since like Christmas. Even though he never played the tournament before. I didn't know he was there all week.
Is Rory like being shit in final rounds a thing now?
People are making it a thing.
I mean, he wasn't shit at Bay Hill last year when he won and shot 62.
I think everything's overblown. And oh my God, Xander won again. So this is everyone's opportunity to make fun of some players who don't win. But they leave out players that they choose to not make fun of. So it's all like silly to me.
So there was Hideki, then there was Justin Thomas. Now we have Xander Schauffele. They are the kings of the no-cut events. Small field, no cuts. So Xander won at Greenbrier since he won the Tour Championship, 30-man field, no cut. WGC China, I believe it's 60 players, no cut. Wins this one, 34 players, no cut.
He's got, I swear, I feel silly, like ridiculous making this comparison because this guy's gone, unless you bet web.com. He's got a switch that when it flips, like, holy crap. And it almost reminds me of like when Hunter Mahan would flip a switch.
Hunter didn't make it back to the tour? I thought he did.
I don't know. Wouldn't he be here?
Is he not here? I guess he's not.
Maybe he did make it back. You could be right, actually.
I thought all the web.com guys were playing this week, all the grads. But maybe not.
Anyway, Hunter could flip that, just when he flips that switch, he does it more than like a Russell Henley, but holy crap, Xander is unconscious. Unconscious. He's like lasers. You seem like even off the tee when he is zoned in. Like it is, and I was weaning in and out of it after because this is a long day for me. And then, even that late game.
I'm shocked you were able to see straight by like 5 p.m.
Yeah, no, I was in a great place, but I still, got to say goodnight and give the kid a bath. And I couldn't believe how entertaining like the ending was.
It was
really.
well, they were going blow
And
for
they
blow.
both birdied 7. I wasn't as
no one birdied 17 all day. Then they go boom, boom, birdie, birdie. Like they were trading shots back and forth.
And I wasn't as inundated with this tournament as, as we get into the golf season, although it's nice. I do enjoy the later times to watch. But yeah, just stuff like them both birdieing the hole that nobody birdies. Like that was, answering the bell. And Woodland came up short on a chip that I think we all knew he was probably going to not get as close as he wanted.
Considering he was sticking everything, all those up and downs all day, whenever he was in trouble, he just put it into 2 feet, tap it in.
Impressive, because he's working, I assume it's a whole new, set of balls and clubs with the Wilsons.
Well, he's taking that 3-wood off the tee and just crushing it straight every single time. It's pretty impressive. But when we talked about the things that we didn't like throughout the course of, I think it was the beginning of the PGA preview show. You can go check those out. If you hit the description, the 10 players we're excited about, the 2019 preview, it's still up. You can go back and watch that if you haven't yet, or sub on iTunes and you can listen to it. But the really championing like your picks, like everyone was just like, oh my God, well, Gary Woodland's clearly going to win the Masters in the US Open on like Saturday.
Oh,
like, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
I do like the numbers, though.
The numbers drop now. If you got him at 150, that's a really good bet.
And even wasn't he? Because I had him last year, I think at 100 or 110, and wasn't he a Friday night leader in one of whatever
PGA? I had him at PGA Championship, and he was there till the end. But like,
there was one.
Do we really think Gary Woodland's going to win a major?
No, because he's a guy I would want to buy. I think he's going to win.
Bethpage is probably a good spot for him at the PGA Championship. He's
Still
the type of straight ball striker that you would want.
And I've dumped a lot of money into the Woodland well. I'm a big fan.
I'm a big lifetime loser on Gary Woodland, by the way.
Because he, when he had his whole game was like working peak, and then they had that sad stuff with one of the babies, and it sort of like took a downturn. And he always, seemed to like fight back and get his game back. And now he seems to be a confident putter. And I don't know, he seems to just have this thing. Honestly, I think he's going to win something nice. Last year he won Phoenix. I swear to you, he could win Torrey Pines. Don't give me one of these Mickey Mouse numbers, though. Tiger's in the field, so maybe everyone doubles.
Yeah, maybe he misses the cut this week, and then everyone's like off Gary Woodland again. He lost in a playoff there one year as well at Torrey Pines. The year that Jason Day beat J.B. Holmes. It was a 4-man playoff. Stallings, Woodland, J.B. Holmes, and Jason Day. It got down to Dave versus.
You just made me throw up mentioning Torrey Pines and JB Holmes.
I had JB that
Jason
week.
Day. I'm talking about last year.
Oh, I remember.
Wasn't that Torrey?
Yeah, it was.
Goddamn piece of shit.
Still upset about Mr. No Ren, huh?
Yeah, because not only was a bad word, Norin, I was into Norin, and then I don't know, woke up and luckily, oh, never mind.
All right, course. Course and stats. Let's get into this. Sony Open, Waialae Golf and Country Club. We're at 5 hours difference. The tee off is at noon Eastern on Thursday, so you're going to have time to get your bets in, do whatever, even if you miss out on Wednesday night. It is just over 7,000 yards. It's super short. It's a par 70, Bermuda greens, 144-man field. Regular cut applies, and the field's pretty good this year. Much better than Sony Open's past, put it that way. But Patton Kizzire is the defending champion here. That's really all I got on Waialae. It's the course that has the lowest driving accuracy percentage of any course on tour, but playing from the rough is almost like playing from the fairway, so it's not that big of a deal. You're going to see the winner probably around minus 20-ish, give or take a few strokes. Both par 5s, very eagleable to anyone in the field. Like, just because you're, maybe Wes Bryant's a bad example, but he would even have enough distance to get there in 2 on any of the holes. There's a drivable par 4 that's not like eagleable, but it's like an easy up and down for birdie. 35% of the time, players birdie that hole. I believe it's the 10th hole, par 4 10th. So you're going to make your birdies. And the 5 holes from 400 to 450 yards all play under par. So if you're not making your bones there, you better make them up on like the par 3s or something else, because everyone else is making birdies on that front. So key stats, par 4 scoring, strokes gained approach, far more important here. Strokes gained off the tee, not really all that important. So like bad drivers have won here in the past, like Brent Snedeker. Did Snedeker win here? No, he lost in the playoff to Fabian Gomez. But like the big time, like off the tee players.
Jimmy Walker won here, right?
Jimmy Walker won here back to back. Last year it was Kazire, another guy who's not great off the tee, but can get really hot with the irons. So that's what I'm focusing on. I released my stat rankings from the modeling. That's up on my Facebook page right now. So the field itself, the favorites for the Sony Open, coming in at number 1, the winner 2 years ago. Coming off a good week in the Tournament of Champions, Justin Thomas is 6.5 to 1. Bryson's 10 to 1. Spieth, for the first time this year, we see him 14 to 1, as is Gary Woodland. Leishman 20, Champ 25, Reed, Cam Smith 28 to 1. Then you got Hideki Matsuyama at 30 to 1. My eyes just gravitate towards Justin Thomas, but 6.5 to 1 is super tough. That might just end up being a DraftKings play, but I immediately jumped on Leishman at 20 to 1. I did like how he played last week. He putted well, he hit the irons well, couldn't drive all that much. But again, here it's not that big of a deal. And it feels like he's going to eventually break through. And he's coming in, he has 3 top 5s in his past 4 starts. He gagged it in Australia. He won the no-cut event during the swing season. 4th place finish last week. He's played this event each of the past 6 years, made the cut every time, but only 2 top 10s. That was 5 and 6 years ago. Feels like a good time for him, and that 20 number is not going to last for long, especially if Woodland withdraws. That I think this gets bet down to 16 or 14 anyway. So hit it at 20 right now. I already have.
I like it a lot. I was on Leishman last week, so it's easy for me to want to stay on there. You mentioned how he's been playing pretty consistently. It's actually an easy pick. I'm always tempted by any Bryson numbers, but you mentioned some real sloppy.
The ball striking just wasn't
sloppy,
there.
and that's sort of his bread and butter. You know.
I wouldn't expect him to lead the field in putting every week. Although maybe this pins in thing is really working for Bryson.
That being said,
it did trigger Cust.
That being said, it's gonna. I mean, he's always grinding. So if the pendulum is all like he's whatever, he's tinkering that machine to get it perfect. But when he gets it hot, like you'll want to keep riding that. Something that really bothered me about the last tournament, but it is Leishman related, no fault of his own. Thursday fun, literally the first golf I get to see in real time of the whole year, Thursday night.
Leishman out of bounds?
Well, not that. That wasn't even that. It was like 5 minutes before that. There's like on-course interview.
Like they do on the Euro Tour.
No,
They do that on the Euro Tour.
that's really annoying. And he's like, oh, my driving's been great today, and next tee shot was out of bounds.
So he mushed himself.
Listen, I don't know who said it, but that's ridiculous. These are just like token. No one's actually being original in those instances. You'd be much better off sort of incorporating what like NFL and other sports have done, Pat. And, like have them mic'd up maybe and then edit it for like good, funny moments and, take out, curses or what have you. But that stuff I'm not into the in-game on course as hit and giggle. I mean, that event essentially becomes a hit and giggle unless you are Gary Woodland. Like the second you realize like, oh my God, I'm playing well, it becomes way less of a hit and giggle. But the second all those 88% of the field, it starts going, hey, they're in Hawaii. They're just, yucking it up, wishing they could probably play in shorts. So I like the Leishman bet again at 20 to 1. I think after Thomas and Bryson, he's the best player in this field.
No respect to Jordan Spieth at 14 to 1.
Doesn't do it for me. You want that?
No, not really.
You want to see signs, maybe. I'm not against.
He played incredibly well here last year. This was one of those tournaments where like he couldn't putt, but tee to green he was very, very good.
How are you looking to pick on him? Like, would you be interested in a Leishman versus Spieth head-to-head bet? No. Not with me.
No.
I mean,
no.
Plus money on the book.
I'm not looking to attack Spieth in the spot because I do think that Spieth has a rebound year. I just don't know I don't know if Hawaii in the first event of the year is where that starts.
He's probably there with his like new wife. I doubt it.
6 of the past 7 winners of the Sony Open have played the week before at the Tournament of Champions. That even includes like Fabian Gomez, so like the longer odds guys.
Pat and Kazire.
Kazire last year, yeah.
Yeah.
So the last one who didn't do it was Russell Henley in 2013. He was also the last player to win in his first start at Waialae. And before that, it had been 1979.
So this just breeds life into everybody.
Yeah, when
Like
when we get to long shots.
Sure, but I'm
there's
just
one
saying,
I'm on.
like your Tways, your Pol, like I'm just randomly thinking of guys that are going to be 50 to 1 plus. Okay, so that's good for Leishman.
Yeah, it's great for Leishman. But what about Woodland? Because Woodland has played really well at this course in the past. Do you think that's too much for him? Because guys, a lot of the time, if you see them, parlay that second into a first. We saw it with Aaron Wise last year. It's happened a bunch of times. Like they have the good finish and then they win the next week. They actually close it down.
And I do believe that there's something about this. This is like a newer Woodland.
Do you want to hit it? If we thought that 20 to 1 was a bit much, do we think that 14 to 1 is too much?
Yeah, I'm not there. I don't want to bet this. I'll dip my foot into Woodland ponds in the fullest fields. And that might be dangerous, but I don't need these shortened Woodland numbers.
Cam Champ has already been bet down from 30 to 1 to 25 to 1. He's another guy who played last week. The irons were horrible, but he was putting the lights out.
You know, this is a course that is a comp. The course he won at it, he was 40 to 1. It was like a swing season event. We hit that ticket. This guy used to play web.com events. So I'd look at the board, he'd be 20, 25 to 1. So now this is his standard PGA number. That's wonderful. But I don't know if I can pull that trigger because I'm inclined to bet losers behind him. Noting, though, the event he won was very much at a short course. And one of the knocks on him, you know, there was a knock on him once upon a time, Pat, was, you know, it was a short course. It was RSM, right?
No, he won Sanderson Farms.
Short course?
Yeah, shortest.
Yeah, it was like, very short.
Weak field, short course.
So, and you mentioned there's zero rough here. So he could do exactly.
There's not zero rough. It's just not penal to go into.
Sorry. The rough, much like what it seemed at Sanderson Farms. From my visual. Yeah,
unless you went really off course. The two corollary courses that I found for these two that just have had a lot of crossover, either winners or guys at the very top of the leaderboard. Honda is one of them, PGA National, obviously a much tougher field, and then Mayakoba.
That's why we were hoping for the Luke List appearance. He'd have been short, though. He would have been
25 to 1.
Yeah, 25
or 30 to 1.
30. I'm not betting Champ. I know you're tempted to.
I am tempted. I like the 30 number obviously better than the 25 because who wouldn't? But I'm not there yet. And I'll have my cheat sheet come out on Wednesday. Hopefully it's more successful than last week. I didn't play that much last week. The only thing I bet that I won was, unfortunately, it was my biggest bet because it was by far the lowest odds. I bet Poulter top 20 at minus 130. That was it. Everything else, big loser. But he almost gagged it away, too, because he doubled the 15th. But he ended up coming 17th or 18th or something like that.
Do you have to make that like the same gambling announcements on this show?
Yeah.
Like you do on the football
I
show?
do, yeah. Odds and lines are subject to change. See website for actual odds. And if you or anyone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
So I think I'm going to make a real-time bet on someone we're going to talk about right now.
Okay. So the rest of the guys here, we have Reed at 28, Cam Smith at 28, Hideki at 30. They're the next three. Cam Smith coming off a win at the Australian Masters, but he did not play last week. Hideki is best in the field in strokes gained approach over the past 24 rounds, but he hasn't played in a bit. And then Reed just seemed off last week.
Really off. Never seemed to get it going at all, which I think surprised a lot of us. But I don't know. He seems like he could pop anywhere, and I wouldn't.
Patrick Reed gained 2.5 strokes off the tee, which is really strange for him. Lost 4.2 strokes on approach and lost almost 5 strokes putting last week. So very poor week for Mr. Patrick Reed.
Very poor week.
It is a good number though for him, considering a lot of these guys, like Bryson was 12 to 1 last week. Now he's 10 to 1. Thomas was 9 to 1. Now he's 6.5
Reed
to 1.
was like 16, 18.
He was down to 12 by the time it closed, and now he's 28 to 1 in a much weaker field. Field's pretty good for the Sony Open, but it's not, there's no Dustin, there's no Brooks, there's no high-end guys here. So are you in on Reed? Is that where you were going with this? Or are you
no,
in on Cam Smith?
I'm thinking about Reed, and it's not Cam Smith. I think this guy that I'm going to bet's in our next group. Reed is very tempting, though.
Hideki?
Just depends on... Also tempting, but
bad history.
I'd rather
at
bet
Sony Open.
Yeah, he really strikes me as a guy that's in like tune-up mode.
get ready for Phoenix mode.
As much as people have maybe forgotten about him as it pertains to bigger things, I don't think his year plans or setup have changed one bit in terms of his personal expectations. But I don't think this is going to be the place where it starts.
All right. So we like Leishman the best of the top end in terms of value, 20 to 1?
For me, absolutely.
Okay. Mid-range guys. Let's start off with Kyle Stanley, 33 to 1. So is Griot, so is Kisner, so is Casey, so is CH3. Answer is 35. Zach Johnson, Kuchar, Patton Kazire, all 40. Bubba, Snedeker, Adam Scott, all 45. Keegan Bradley, Kim are both 50. Pat Perez is 55. So is Knox. Both seen them for the first time this year. Then you got Henley. He's at 60. So is Harmon. So is Tway, Poulter, and Scott Piercy. I've actually bet one of these guys. I've only made 3 bets so far. One of them was Leishman's. One of them is one of these guys. But there's a couple of really interesting names from in here that I like.
I feel like your bets are at the deeper end of this number.
Well, there's only one of them.
I'm really intrigued by Howell.
Really? Because he loves the Sony Open?
He got the win off his back. He sort of fits the mold of guys that played last week. I think he played fine.
Actually, I have no idea how he played. I can tell you right now.
Well, he's very forgettable. Your eyes just glazed through.
He was 14th last week.
Your eyes just sort of glazed through him, and I get it. But I think this sets up really well for him. And I don't know, for me, because Paul Casey's also at that same number and kind of is the exact same sort of situation, I feel.
I think I would rather bet Paul Casey than Charles Howell III. That would be me.
I'm interested in... I might be real interested in Charles Patrick.
The difference is last week, Howell, looking at it, lost strokes on approach. Casey gained strokes on approach. And that's really the one key metric that I'm focusing on here. So that would lead me. And I just think that Paul Casey is a better player. I think we can both agree on that.
Obviously.
So that would direct
He's a European Ryder Cup player.
Yeah. And he was good in the Ryder Cup. The one guy that I bet is also a European Ryder Cup player, playing at Waialae for the first time since 2005.
Poulter?
Ian Poulter. Did not putt well at all last week, but we know a very good putter to begin with, especially on Bermuda. Maybe the greens were a bit too slow for Sir Ian last week. They're still a bit slow this week, not quite as slow on the stimp as Kapalua, but ball striking was there for Ian Poulter last week. He's 60 to 1. I'm in. I got the each way on him.
Someone who's sort of been popping up today, I like Poulter a lot more than, say, a Piercy, who's at an identical number.
Piercy loves this course. He says it himself.
Does that matter?
No, it doesn't.
Most guys probably really, really like the course. I like I saw an interview with Poulter, I think, after one of his rounds. He was just happy to be out there.
Happy he finally got a win.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. He said he had like a jolly Christmas with the family and he's ready to get back to business. I don't mind that pick. Could be tucked into it. He fits a lot of the criteria that I think the type of player that I'm sort of scouting for this week.
I was just surprised, and it was more of a stats-based approach for me. He gained off the tee, he gained on approach, and lost 4.5 strokes putting. That's very atypical of Ian Poulter. Do you ever expect him to lose that many strokes putting? Especially on a Bermuda surface? No, I doubt that would continue week to week. It reminded me a lot of, it wasn't quite as good as the ball striking performance that Kuchar put on the week before he won, when he just flat out could not putt. But it's very in those similar lines.
What do you make of Siwoo?
Siwoo at 50 is not for me.
Adam Scott.
Don't love Adam Scott. The other guy I was really looking at was Kuchar again. I bet him last week, and he was kind of a disaster. But he played bogey-free Saturday and Sunday. He looked sick on Friday.
Yeah, he was coughing up a storm.
Yeah.
He was playing with somebody. He was playing with Xander. And you could hear Xander's got his eagle putts, and Kuchar's hacking a lung.
Maybe he picked up darts. That was his New Year's resolution.
Start
smoking.
I guess his kids are older now. They probably actually have like real school, but maybe his kids were out there with him.
But he's 40 to 1. I talked about the crossover success that you can have at places where he just won, like Mayakoba. He tends to play well at the Honda Classic as well.
Jimmy Walker is here.
Yeah, Jimmy Walker's way down the list. We'll get to him in a bit. But Kuchar's really the one that kind of stood out for me. He was just brutal last week, though. Like, he was bad off the tee. We watched him basically take a triple on the first stroke on Thursday and take himself completely out of the running. So that was no fun. But he's there. I'm not in on him yet, but he's there. Zach Johnson, who I had last year, was the first round leader and then did nothing afterwards. Kazire played really well. Can Kazire repeat?
I'm not going there.
Why not?
I have no.
Kazire,
not for
T8
me.
last week. It's a nice performance. Webb Simpson should really be playing this event based on how well he finished on Sunday. Like, do you want like the Grillos or the Kisners or the Stanleys? I really do kind of buy into the guys that played the week before narrative.
I'm always tempted for Grillo, but I would pass Grillo for a Casey or a Howell.
Just because they played last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Casey 33 is pretty tempting.
Well, if we're going to talk about guys that like can't putt and can't win, if you have Casey at 33 and you have Keegan at 50, why not just go with Keegan?
No.
Now you're just no on Keegan?
Yeah.
Straight fade? What did Keegan do? I feel like he had a better weekend. He did gain on approach all week. He lost 7 strokes putting. Wow. Impressive. 11.4 strokes lost putting for Bubba Watson.
Like, I don't think Hawaii's the place where, like, you call out the swing coach. You just wait to get back to the mainland to work on that sort of crap.
Maybe. But I think just
a guy like Poulter,
by a law of averages, I don't think he
Sure.
like losing 7 strokes in an event is pretty tough.
that's ridiculous. But by Poulter, like, he is a good putter. He probably, just dusted it off after a nice little holiday, whatever. I have no doubt that, like, him making one 12-foot putt completely just flips his switch. I don't think that works for a guy like Keegan.
Probably not.
Like, I'm going to talk about putting. So, like, I don't think I'm going out on a limb either. Like, Poulter over Keegan for sure for me.
Okay. So I like Poulter more than Keegan as well. That's why I bet him right away. The one guy that we kind of glanced over,
I have not bet Poulter.
he is coming off a win in Australia as well. People loved him during the swing season, and then they forgot to bet him in Australia like I did. Abraham Answer, 35-1. Seems short.
Sneaky.
Seems short, and he hasn't played since he won in Australia. Maybe career builder next week is probably a better spot for him. And then you got like your Knox, your Henley, who's won here before. Tway at 60 is kind of interesting.
They say the wind's supposed to be down, but how can they project something like that?
The wind's always down at this course. I went because I was thinking coastal, Hawaii, but it never gets as windy as Kapalua does. Like sometimes it's like there's a moderate wind, like you can see up to like 17, maybe 20, but you're not going to get your 35 mile per hour gusts and like constant stream of wind like we saw Thursday and Friday at Kapalua. It's more often than not going to be calm here than that. But what about Tway? Tway, already a winner this year, played last week and played okay last week. He was the first round leader.
I mean, Poulter and Tway were sort of like the first guys that just sort of popped in my head when you mentioned the stat about 6 of the last 7 winners having won last week. Just guys that I knew were above 50-1, who sort of checked those boxes. I don't know.
He gained off the tee and approach and around the green. Tee to green, he was quite good.
I actually really don't. Is everyone you bet going to have played last week?
I don't know if everyone is, because I was really eyeing Pat Perez as well. Why? I don't know, but he played really well at the OHL. And I like to see some form out of Pat Perez, then boom. And if this just becomes like a let's score on par 4s and make some putts birdie fest, Pat Perez can do that. But I think if I want to go to the top end and like even this middle area, that's why I might end up leaning with Kuchar over some of these guys, or potentially Casey, like you mentioned, at his number. Only because they played last week, and like I said, 6 of the past 7, that's where they've been. Anyone else from this range you want to talk? You want to talk Piercy?
I'm not.
I'll just play him on DraftKings.
I mean, everybody's going to hit these greens. Is he good enough to win this tournament?
You got to make some putts, which he doesn't.
Does he hit it close enough?
He does hit it close enough.
Jeez, that also has me thinking about that Paul Casey thing.
The fact that he has to make putts.
Yeah.
Molinari
Got me
finished it.
scratching my head.
Let's see here. I believe Casey finished top 10 in the field in putting this week. Or last week. Let's see. No, he was in the higher end, though. He was right in the middle, actually. He gained strokes putting, but very marginally. Guys that you would expect to regress putting-wise, just because they gained so much last week. I guess Xander's not playing, but Champ, Kazire, Troy Merritt, Woodland, Leishman, and that would be Andrew Landry as well, but he only gained a stroke. So he could build off that, but like over 3 strokes putting, Leishman, Woodland, Merritt, Kazire, and Cameron Champ. It's tough to repeat, although Champ's been doing it every single week. It's just kind of crazy. Longer shots. Who would you like to talk about here first? Chris Kirk has had a lot of success this tournament in the past. He is 80-1. Another guy I was eyeing who played last week, 80-1, Andrew Putnam.
Yeah, no, hit
his irons really well last week.
He's next man up, I think, in terms of your that sort of theory. So why not? I like him more than Keegan.
Yeah, and it's a course where a lack of distance isn't really going to penalize you.
Are the brothers putting him here or just single putting?
Believe it's just Andrew. What's the other guy's name? Michael Putnam.
Am I right?
Yeah, that is his name.
I don't mind that.
Like of the guys from last week who did play, like Andrew Landry's 150-1, Putnam's 80-1. I bet Michael Kim at 250-1.
Buddy had a good Sunday, Garnett.
Yeah, and Bryce Garnett, another guy who plays well in like Dominican Republic, Mexico. He's never really played well at this tournament before.
Landry 150.
Landry 150 is probably more intriguing than Garnett at like 120 or 110. But Michael Kim, despite coming DFL last week, tied with my main man, Satoshi Kodaira, who's also in this field.
You betting him?
No, I bet him last week at 300-1.
What about... Oh.
But Kim, the one case for Kim is, you want to hear an outrageous number. Michael Kim lost 16.3 strokes off the tee last week. He gained on approaches. 16.3. That's Wes Bryan territory. He's never lost anything close to that in his career. Maybe the guy just forgot how to drive the ball, but 250-1 for a guy who played last week. It's worth a bomb for me, especially along with like the top 5 odds that come along with it if you each weigh it. As a flyer. What is it, $5? $5 on each? Who cares?
So, Kevin not hurt?
I don't know.
He's 100-1.
I don't know what happened to Kevin Na. He just showed up and he withdrew.
And that seems like a ridiculous number, but I wouldn't mind him finding some form because he's a sneaky player on all those California events, in my opinion, at least. But are we just going? I mean,
we're all over the place. We're 70-1 and above now.
So you'll just insult it. I'm not saying I'm betting it, but I'm just going to throw these 2 names out: Fratelli or M.
I think I like M more than Fratelli. I like Sung.
Are you a Love Mark guy? 90-1.
No.
You're just retired.
I'm
retired.
out on Love Mark.
Okay.
I'll probably get sucked back in at some point, but no.
I know, like normally a year like this is where Pat of the Past would, have like a token Bill Haas bet. So is there just like a token Duffner bet that you're interested in making? 110.
I don't even. Duffner at 110 is kind of intriguing, isn't it? I didn't even really think about him. What's he been doing?
I have no clue.
Let's find out. I think I would have more interest in like betting Kazire than betting these guys.
Yeah, but Kazire's
60, 40, 40. Yeah, miscut, 21st miscut. Although he was 21st the OHL, which I did say was a corollary.
Jimmy Walker, hard pass.
I don't know.
One and done sneaky.
I don't think he's going to be sneaky in one. When I released the odds today, the first 3 responses that I got on Twitter was, "You got to bet Jimmy Walker."
Do you?
I mean, I don't think you do, but that's what these people were saying.
Okay.
I get it. He's won here before, twice. He's come inside the top 5 before. He's not the same Jimmy Walker, though. Let's be real.
Okay. I've already bet one Sam at 125-1 in Burns, but what about Ryder?
Hardly know her.
You like either of those?
I like Burns better than Ryder. I just like Burns. Yeah. I think he's a good player. But I don't think he's going to be getting my money to win this week.
Do you know who might get a few bucks of mine to win? Anerban.
Really? How come?
Short little course.
I'm really trying to
I
make.
think he's a sneaky,
I know I
decent
said I
player.
bet Michael Kim, but that's just more for fun at 250 to 1.
Yeah.
I'm really going to try to make an effort to not stop betting all these guys that are 125 to 1. I feel like that's where I lose all my money.
And you'll bet like more Kuchers? Is that like
Bet-
your strategy?
Yeah, bet more, just not necessarily Kucher, but bet guys between 28 and 50 to 1.
Have you seen the VJ Singh workout video?
I did see it. I want to get on his program.
That was pretty intense.
There's a bunch of old dudes in the field this week. You got Jerry Kelly, Stricker's in the field.
190, 100, yeah.
Stricker's in the field.
Jerry Kelly is a legend. Is Kenny Duke playing?
No, Jerry Kelly's not the legend here. JJ Henry's the legend here. I believe that. No, it is Jerry Kelly here. He won in.
No, Jerry Kelly's the legend here, dude.
Yeah, he's
I'm
played.
pretty sure he's 125.
He's played every year. You're gonna bet old.
No, I'm not.
59-year-old Jerry Kelly to win this event?
I'm not betting. The only bets I think for me north of 100 could be the two Sams, Burns and Ryder.
I could be talked in.
Are you?
You know,
we didn't talk about Potter, and he fits last week playing criteria, but
yeah, actually does. There's actually two guys at 70 and 80 to 1 who rated out really well for me.
Shez.
No, Shez wasn't one of them. Although people love Shez.
Hadwin?
Hadwin's one of them.
Really?
Danny Lee is the other.
He plays the most.
I like Danny Lee, man. 80 to 1. I can get behind that. I mean, he's gonna. If he makes the cut, he'll be in it. If not, he'll be in DFL because he's Danny Lee. But he played really well in Mexico too. I believe he was second there. And when you de-emphasize par 5 scoring and make them easy for the entire field, and you really enhance par 4 scoring, that's generally where Danny Lee comes through. So I think Danny Lee might end up on the card. Definitely a first-round leader play. Actually, probably not because he'll be like 50 to 1. But we also have like Killa Keith in the field. Think this is a spot for him? No.
Harris English?
Harris English?
No, you're mentioning Kill. I'm just like...
You're just reading names, too. Michael Thompson. Peter
Keith,
Malnati.
you'll bet first-round leader, won't you?
If he's... I tend to say 101 and above with first-round leaders.
What about Kirk?
Kirk is super intriguing.
Because he does do a lot of things here that...
I had him as first-round leader last year, and
hit?
Zach Johnson split it with him on the last hole. It went from 80 to 40. And I had Zach Johnson to win the stupid tournament. Then he fucked off the rest of the rounds. Shit.
Wasn't my beat, so I don't even remember. Who did Kazire battle last year?
He beat James Hahn in a 6-hole playoff.
So what about any love for 90 to 1 Hahn then? He rarely shows up. That's the thing with him.
Hahn, either he's in the playoff or winning, or he's the worst guy in the field. We've seen it. He won at Wells Fargo. He won at Riviera. He contends 4 times a year. He's a lot like Jonas Blixt in that sense. So, no, I'm not... If you're going to bet, just do like the random James Hahn play. Like, at least wait till he's like at 150 to 1. You okay?
I just don't want to believe I'm going to actually bet Charles Howell.
You don't have to. No one's forcing you. Are we done talking about the longer shot, guys?
Nope. I'm just like to be organized because sometimes I'm not organized when you call me for it. No, listen, I could be done, but I'd just be running out names.
You're done with the guys that actually intrigue you from deep.
I'm not throwing a 200 to 1, 150 to 1 dart here.
I think
like Ben Martin.
I think Landry makes the most sense. I think if you want to pick a long shot, really emphasize guys that played last week.
I don't know. Is Curtis Luck still like a top Australian prospect?
I mean, he graduated from the web to the PGA Tour. That's nice to see. Yeah. Do you like Danny Lee or Adam Hadwin better?
Maybe Hadwin because I'd be more confident he'd make more putts and they'll both hit greens.
Yeah.
But I can see the case for Lee, but I don't know. Hadwin had such a rough year last year.
He got better towards the end though, and he played well during the swing.
It'd be good to get those President's Cup points, both of them.
Oh yeah, President's Cup.
What's sad is because even the PGA app, it's not like new or anything, but there's just some fresh little upgrades. And when you go to the side, they have like President's Cup standings. It's already like in your face. It's kind of obnoxious.
So you don't like it. You don't think that the President's Cup deserves that kind of treatment on the app? So Hadwin since the playoffs. So he was brutal throughout the summer, starting at the playoffs because he made it. At the Northern Trust, he was 11th. He was 21st at the Dell, 19th at the BMW. Missed the cut at Safeway to start the swing, 10th at Nine Bridges, 30th at the WGC, 10th in Mexico. That's not bad. I might be able to, I could be talked into Hadwin, Danny Lee, 70 and 80 to 1.
You like them Poulter more than both those, though?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the picks. Quick picks for the
It's
week.
not going to be quick.
Why isn't it going to be quick? You want me to start? Guys, I've already bet so far. Mark Leishman, 20 to 1. I played Ian Poulter 60 to 1 with the top 5 each way. And I played Michael Kim 250 to 1 with the top 5 each way. Those are the 3 that I have locked in as we speak right now. I'm leaning towards Cooch. I'm leaning towards Hadwin and Danny Lee. And you might have talked me into Sam Burns, but I might end up going with Andrew Landry instead at 150 to 1, solely because he played last week. I'm going to do more, obviously, research. I'm going to do the DraftKings show tomorrow. I'll get a better sense of what's going on with everything, and I'll have my finalized cheat sheet up, along with first-round leaders and any other special props that I play on Wednesday, facebook.com/thepme. That's where it appears every single week. But those are the 3 guys that I'm in on right now.
Okay, I'm not going to bet Charles Howell.
Okay, you're not going to.
Yeah.
And Paul Casey's another one that I would consider, too.
Casey's on a consideration list. The only bet
I miss Putnam, too. He's also on the short list.
The only bets that I have in so far are Leishman and Burns.
Okay.
Leishman's 20, Burns is 125. I am, when we get off done here, I am going to bet Patrick Reed at 120. Wow.
I mean, I bet him at 128 to 1 too.
At 28 to 1, I'm gonna go back to Patrick Reed. I liked it last week. I played it at 20. It's a bigger number. I don't know. If the Moxie's there, I'll take him in the hunt versus 90% of the guys if we can get there.
Okay.
Poulter, I'm going to piggyback you on. You talked me into that. And Putnam seems to be that other guy that offers more to me of the guys that played last week. So in order of numbers, Leishman, Reed, Poulter, Putnam, Burns. But I've got room in there to make a move. That could be Paul Casey.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering about right now.
I've got room to make a move in the 30-50 range. Even for me, I like this event. I could even pick 2 more guys in that range and feel like my exposure is fine.
I'm wondering right now because I go from 20 to 60 to 250. Those are my 3 bets that are in now. Do I want to stick with the strategy that I said that I was going to do?
You said you were not going to just fill your card with 820 to 1 picks, and you were just going to pick 3 guys
in this in the Casey
30
Stanley
to
range.
60, 70.
But now that I see Putnam and Hadwin and Danny Lee, I'm like, oh, 70
You're coming down a little. They're under 100 at least.
That's true. I'm getting progressively more logical.
And I would say this might be the event to...
Maybe. You don't know, though. Walker's won here as a heavy favorite twice. Justin Thomas has won as a favorite.
I say this last week. It's so easy to say when we record that, I hate Bang Bang because I'm afraid of Dustin.
I'm afraid of Justin Thomas.
I'm going to say, I guess, to start this week. I'm afraid because Justin at this course, he looks like he's already
in form. That's the thing. Last year he was bad at Tournament of Champions, and he wasn't that great here. But
last year he was also coming off the major, the Player of the Year, the FedEx Cup, and maybe he
winning the Hawaii Slam.
Yeah, so he kind of,
Where's Finau?
Yeah, I thought he had the heritage. I want to say one more thing about Xander,
okay,
which is underrated, and someone who's close to his camp mentioned to me last year. Well, before he got to winning, although he won Greenbrier last year, right?
2 years ago.
2 years. So last year he didn't really win until
WGC.
It was for a lot of these guys, we make such a hyper focus about their rookie year. But when you have the year that Xander has as a rookie,
you brought this up on the preview show.
Then you're all of a sudden you're into the Masters and you're into WGCs and you're at all the majors. That in and of itself is more of a whirlwind to these guys than going from the web.com to playing Career Builder.
I agree.
That is the actual, for good golfers, with high ceiling golfers, that's the actual rookie year. Now, sometimes we see these good young golfers instantly get those invites because they win and things happen like instantly where they're all of a sudden there and they're not going away. But it's a whole getting into those tournaments is so much different mentally than playing a web.com schedule and being at the Sony Open. And yeah, maybe I did say that. So I'm saying it again, but he won. So I'm reinforcing that.
The only final guy, there's a lot of Japanese tour players in the field this week, as generally happens. And this is more of a DraftKings idea than an actual outright betting, but you might get some decent odds. There's two guys to look at. One is Papa Chongo, wherever the hell he went. He's 125 to 1. Now I gotta find him. Oh, he's 150 now. Papa Shugo. We have Shugo Imaria. Anyway, he's 150
Inamori.
Anyway, he's the 53rd ranked player in the world. I wrote him up in my column. Over his past 20 events, he has 17 top 20s, a win, 3 seconds, 3 thirds, and 2 fourths. He just dominates on the Asian tour. And he played here last year and made the cut.
Is Buddy playing?
No, he's not. It's not Sung Jae Im. It's
Ashu? No, it's not.
I forget now.
Sorry.
We want him in Phoenix.
Your last comment just made my eyes go to the very bottom again.
We have
what's up,
Takumi Kanaya, who's like the top ranked Japanese amateur, who's killing it on the Japanese tour. He's 300 to 1. What's
the deal with Sangmoon Bae? Wasn't he showing great form? Didn't he win a web.com or lose?
Yeah.
275 to 1.
That's actually quite interesting.
He
did. I feel like he won a web.com to get his card back. Didn't he?
Yeah, I remember.
Maybe I'm misremembering that.
Just miss getting it.
He's never played well here, if that's anything.
But he doesn't play well often.
This is true.
I mean, relative.
He did get his card back because he had that win. He went miscut, 59th through the swing season.
So he won. Sorry, that number just seemed quite big for a guy that I remember winning. I don't know. Sam Saunders. I will always bring him up just because Golf Channel does.
He's Arnie's great. Is he Jack or Arnie's grandson? I haven't seen
Arnie's.
We're not like three weeks into the season yet, so I can't remember.
No. So yeah, I think I'm
all right. One and done. Picks for the Sony Open. So I'm committing one of my teams to the show picks. That'll be a good way to keep track of it for me. And you can just pick whoever the hell you want.
I'm gonna for sure be using Leishman.
You're using Leishman this week?
Yeah.
So as a rule on the show, I can't pick who you pick. I could use Leishman on my other team. So you're taking Leishman?
Yeah.
Leishman for Jeff. I'll take Justin Thomas. Let's get some cash early. I think he's gonna win. That's also what's really causing me pause on a lot of this stuff. He just looked so good last week, and he kept missing like 5-foot putts.
Yeah. He missed a bunch of short putts, and he
gained over 10 strokes on approach last week, which was by far the most in the field. It was 3 more than any other player, 5 more than Xander. The guy just could not putt, and that is again very atypical of Justin Thomas. So. Thomas,
there are 2 super elites in this field, and he looks like he's really ready to go.
Yeah. So as we talked about one and done strategy on last week's show, that by sort of the rules of last week, if you take the favorites in this field, you have Thomas, Bryson, Spieth, Woodland, Leishman, Champ, Reed, Cameron Smith, and Hideki. The 30 to 1, 30 and under guys. Who do you think would be like the contrarian sort of play? Like, I doubt many people use Bryson this week. If I had to wager,
Spieth, no.
I think people might use Spieth. Like, I think people will save.
Hideki feels ultra, like.
Well, people will want to save Hideki for Phoenix. So, I don't love Hideki this week, so I wouldn't take it. Like, do you think that people will use Woodland?
Wouldn't the odds tell you Reed might be that player?
Maybe. But if we had to rank top 3 most popular picks from that top end this week, because I know a lot of people are going to use Jimmy Walker. That'll just be one they use right away. I would think that Thomas, Woodland, and Leishman will be the top 3 most used in one and done. That'd be my prediction. And again, this is Monday afternoon. I don't know. I'll wait till Twitter to blow up.
So then based on that, maybe Bryson.
Bryson.
Bryson also see, it's tough because there's going to be so many great opportunities to use Bryson, especially when you see the pendulum is working well. Then it's hop on hard.
Or you could hit that middle range. You could use a Kuchar. You could use Poulter, one of those guys. I would use someone who played last week though.
Charles Howell.
I mean, he generally does play well in this tournament. Just bet Charles Howell to come inside the top 10.
No, I just don't want him.
You hate top 10 bets. Why do you hate top 10 bets?
They just cost more.
What do you mean they cost more?
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking about the each ways. No, I don't mind a top 10, but you chop it down, doesn't pay enough. But then Sunday night, you're I wouldn't mind that 6-1.
Yeah.
That'd have been better than anything I did.
I'm telling you, Luke List ended up becoming profitable last year because of each ways.
Well, don't get me wrong.
He kept coming inside the top 5 and not winning.
I mean, you're essentially asking a Paul Casey, Charles Howell, T10 will pay you what the Justin Thomas win will pay you.
Yeah.
So there is that. Do we have a custard player? Did you put that out there?
No, I will.
Did you reach out to him?
I did not reach out to him. He usually just tweets it out.
Because he usually... Listen, he's going to go...
Yeah, who do you think Tim will pick?
Russell Henley.
I'm going to say... Oh, yeah, Russell Henley is a very Tim pick for this week. Zach Johnson, maybe? Yeah. I'm going to say that he goes with Gary Woodland. That would be my guess. Let's see. Has he made a pick
could go
yet?
Cam Champ.
No, he's too busy being triggered about the Golden Globes still this morning.
I had no whatever.
You can say it.
There's Wednesday, but this guy is preaching the Chargers were built as a machine that will beat the Patriots. What's wrong with this guy?
He's trying to curse your team. He was trying to... the curse was almost so effective that he had already written off the game that was currently going on and trying to curse next week's game. Then all of a sudden the Ravens were back into it.
But he's got to bring his anti-Patriots agenda to my world.
Yeah, but this is why the Patriots end up in the Super Bowl every year, because Tim curses them to the Super Bowl.
I don't like how confident he is because his confidence isn't based on anything but
him hating the Patriots?
A personal bias.
If you haven't noticed, all of Tim's picks are like that.
So he didn't pick anything.
No, he has not made a pick as of yet. So follow Tim on Twitter at TimAnderson87 to find out who is cursed this week. He did hit one and done winner last year. He had Jason Day the week no one had him, and everyone laughed at his pick at Wells Fargo. But other than that, I think he may have come dead last in the one and done.
He's still probably glory hounding credit for it too.
Oh yeah, I pick winners all the time. That's the whole thing about the curse. It needs to hit every now and then. He needs to be right around, I think we have the batting average of Tim where he's correct 3% of the time. Just when he wins those polls that he does, when he gets 4% of the vote, he's like, oh, it's a big win for me. But, he has to win every now and then, or people wouldn't actually believe that he knows what's up. All right, I'll be back tomorrow. My column's up already on DK Playbook. If people want to go check that out. You're not on screen, so you can't look at yourself.
I'm not looking.
You're doing this.
I don't do that.
Paul?
I've been really good. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just looking at nothing.
Is there something behind me?
Nope. I'm just sort of replaying. I'm just hamsters on the wheel, trying to think where my last couple bets might go.
We got days to figure this out. Like I mentioned, it doesn't start until noon on Thursday.
This is just for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, exactly.
That one done is huge.
I'm excited for it.
What does first place pay?
I don't know.
I guess he's got to kick out people who don't pay.
Yeah, so people have to.
We're probably going to lose a couple people.
I would say we lose a couple hundred people that just
thought it was free or something.
No, just don't pay. I don't know how Cuss paid. He doesn't have PayPal because he can't figure out how to use it, which is truly sad.
He's got some special arrangement, like some.
I think everybody Butts pays for him.
Pigeon carrier that probably
he has to I had to pay for him. He had to give me money, and then I had to pay.
Yeah, he wouldn't know how to use PayPal.
Is he the only person in the world who doesn't know how to use PayPal? It's pretty simple.
It's simple until they block you and they make you send them copious amounts of your banking information. It's annoying.
You get blocked from a lot of online places.
Difference between being blocked and getting kicked off. Let's just make that perfectly clear.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No, because I guess you change things on PayPal like didn't match. I get it. Like they're in the end protecting
You.
Yeah, the consumer, and it's like a pain in the ass that I gotta like
Update your info.
Yeah, with
Sounds
them.
tough.
Yeah,
Sounds tough.
just want my money.
Sounds like a really, really tough 2 minutes. Where's the settings button? Listeners League. $15, 3 max
already
entry.
filled up.
It's probably filled up by the time we finish this show. But it's in the description, the link. Or if you go to the DKplaybook.com, or DK, not the DK Playbook, DKplaybook.com, under the podcast section, the link will be in there right away. And tweet at DraftKings. You tell them to make it bigger. Work for the DFS Edge. Hopefully the listeners of the Pat Mayo Experience can go along. But if you subscribe to the audio version, that's generally where it will be first if you're looking for the link moving forward. So I'll get them to add it to the podcast page at like 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And the first place you'll be able to find it is on the podcast feed in the description of the podcast. And then again, on the video, will be in the comment section there too. No, be it. Forgot to mention that if you're still watching this long, if you give the episode a like, leave your DraftKings handle and tell me who you think is going to win. You can be in a draw for 20 DK bucks. Forgot to ask for the likes. Think people will like the episode?
I hope so.
No, they won't. We didn't mention it at the top.
They're gone now.
Yeah, I know. They're most definitely gone because we're just rambling at this point.
They need to be prompted to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I never would think to do it.
Why?
Because I just like turn on the podcast
Mhm.
and I'm doing something else. Whether
A podcast is one thing. YouTube is completely different. Like you're like engaging with YouTube. You have to. It's not like it's on your phone. You're like, boom, play. Let's go do something. Like if you're on YouTube, you're just like sitting there watching it.
but at times I would something like this, I would hit play on and not watch it and just have
it on in the background
playing.
Yeah.
Because I'm also less technology advanced. We're just listening through YouTube's the easiest way for me to get it.
All right.
See it quick.
Well, Dave OTs who lasted this long will know that if you give the episode a like and leave your DraftKings handle and tell me who you think is going to win. Maybe people are just conditioned to like it because I do it at the beginning of every episode. Just forgot this time.
You probably did say it.
I don't remember. I don't think I did. Because I usually write it down on my sheet so I don't forget to say it, but I did. There might be a show next week. There might not be a show next week. I don't
hate
know.
next week. 3 courses.
Career builder. So you think it's a good time for my wife to have the child?
The 3-course, the nonsense that always brings, it's hard to just stay calibrated, in my opinion.
Betting cheat sheet will be up on my Facebook page. Like I mentioned, first round leaders will be up there. And that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Subscribe to the audio podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, Podomatic, Audio Boom, Spotify, wherever you can download podcasts, you can download the Pat Mayo Experience audio version, YouTube and DK Live app for the video versions, plus the cheat sheet up on the Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme on Wednesday. DK show, Tuesday morning, Rick Gaiman will be on to assess the entire field and make the picks. The cheat sheet will be up on DKplaybook.com later on in the day. And remember, become a member of Fantasy National today. Go win some bucks, all right? Easiest way to do it. I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!